Again, welcome to Rise myself, Robert Green, and Owen Hargreaves. Sorry about that, but I have a question I want to get straight into. It's from Alifi, who says, what do you think about Mourinho's appointment? What's the realistic target for Spurs this season? A trophy? Top 4? Because we ran a poll asking which manager is most likely to win the first trophy for their club. Mourinho, Solskjaer, Lampard or Emery, and overwhelmingly it was Lampard that won the votes. Are you in agreement there?
What, Lampard to win titles before anyone else?
Well, not just a title, but a trophy. It could be the League Cup, it could be the FA Cup, it could be whatever competition.
I think Chelsea could win something this year. I think Spurs could. I think it could be a Chelsea-Spurs final come in the League Cup, say, or maybe not the League Cup because Chelsea are out, but the FA Cup. It's that sort of season that you've got a team running away with it in the Premier League and seemingly tying it up so early. But with Jose Mourinho taking over at Spurs, what he does do is come into a squad that is a lot more talented and a lot more ready to challenge than Manchester United when he went in there. So
really?
Yeah.
Even though he went out and bought Pogba and Lukaku, etc.
I don't think he had got the ready-made team in a fit as such a healthy squad as what Spurs have now. So I really think that Spurs could challenge on different levels, but obviously the Premier League's way beyond them this season.
Gents, are you in agreement there?
Well, Mourinho's won at least 2 titles every team he's ever been at, so that tells you he'll win something. How long he'll last there, that's another story. But I agree with Rob. That's a really good team, that Tottenham team. Goalkeeper, defence. The United team never had any balance to it. Had issues defensively. They didn't score enough, and I think that's why he was always fighting. That's why he was always trying to say he wanted more players to try and bridge that gap to Man City and Liverpool. So I think this Tottenham team is going to suit him. And they've got a lot of good players there. Harry Kane wants to win something. I think it could be a good match. And I think Mourinho, I'm almost certain he'll win something there.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think Mourinho, it's the way that he makes a statement. That's the silverware that he's probably capable of winning with that squad. The Premier League's out of reach for now. We all agree that. But I still like Frank Lampard as well. I think the team that he's building there at Chelsea, they're going to want to come away with some sort of silverware. The owners there want to win something every season. And I think that, again, the Premier League will be out of reach for them. But to pick up something else, like a domestic trophy, FA Cup, anything like that, is well within their reach. So it's out of, for me, Mourinho and Lampard.
Do you find it interesting that where Mourinho's had really big success at clubs where he's truly loved have not been that top-tier elite level clubs like a Real Madrid or Manchester United who are in a bracket of their own? Slightly below that, you would say an Inter Milan, Porto below that as well, Chelsea way back in 05 who aren't the same beasts they are now. That's where he's had his biggest success.
Yeah, but if you look at all those teams that he had, they had great goalkeepers, great defense, really strong characters. That United team, that he had probably wasn't in his mold that he had of that first Chelsea team that he had. So I think he likes those strong characters. He likes that strong base defensively, and he likes to play on the counter-attack like he did with Inter and Porto. So this Tottenham team, I think they have that base, and they got brilliant attacking players with Kane and Son. I think he's got a team there. Okay, they maybe need to invest in the centre-backs because they're a bit older now. But he's got a really good base there to go in to build something.
Were you surprised that he chose Tottenham? Obviously, his name was linked to a few clubs over the past month or two, or longer.
I think he's looking at it as good as he's going to get. I think the interesting thing about it will be the conversations that he's had with Daniel Levy, and I think that's the key relationship there. And Mourinho has always been backed everywhere he's gone. Levy has always traditionally not backed whoever has been in charge, and that was sort of coming to the end of Pochettino's tenure was the fact that he was not backed in the transfer market in the summer over a period of transfer windows, and that was the cause of his frustration, and it came out in the end. And so it's going to be a really key relationship, that, and as Owen has said before, how long he lasts is maybe critical as to how many trophies he'll win.
Yeah, it's a great team to join. Owen said it's on paper, they've got the players, they've got the ownership, the manager, the structure, and I think more than anything with Mourinho, he's the manager who's going to learn from the mistakes that he's made. I think it became a poison chalice a little bit at Manchester United. He was never going to recover from the problems that had materialised there.
Yeah, it didn't fit, did it?
No, it didn't
fit,
fit, right. Whereas he's been out the game for a little bit of time, and anybody who sits out, I mean, we've all been injured, you sit on the bench, you start thinking about your game, what you could do better, how you can be stronger, how you can come back better. And I think Mourinho would be no different, and it'd be interesting to see how or what changes he implements in his style while he's at Spurs, because he's certainly got the tools to go out there and do well. So I think on paper, it's a good fit for me. How long he's going to be there, we'll never know. Football's changed.
I think what's interesting with the Manchester United end of the Manchester United thing is word coming back from Manchester United was that at the end of his tenure there, when after he'd left, he phoned round and said, "Where did I go wrong?" So he's obviously keen to still learn and to. I think what will really grate him is this sort of this custom that's been spurred on him that he's looking at being out of date. You're looking at your Guardiolas and you're looking at your Klopps, and they're saying, "Yeah, Mourinho's gone. He's had it. He's out of date." That will really spur him on because there'll be nothing bigger for him than to stand there in front of the cameras, in front of the crowds, and go, "Yeah, I'm still the man."
What about the Chelsea boys when you were there? Were they always speaking, those that were under Mourinho anyway, did they speak highly of him?
Yeah, they really loved him, and I think what was key from that is his two spells there, and what's been apparent from other spells elsewhere is that there is a process that goes through during his reign as a manager of clubs, in that he slowly manages to alienate himself from people within the dressing room and people from in the training ground. Now, everywhere he's been at Chelsea, it took a number of years for that to happen the first time round. And he went off to Real Madrid, into Milan, and back to Chelsea and Manchester. And it's got quicker and quicker and quicker each club he's been at. And this is the relationship thing we're talking about again, is does he keep hold of these relationships, or does he alienate himself from the backroom stuff, from the players, like he did at Manchester United?
Well, the flip side is, you see his relationship with Zlatan still seems to be very strong. And do you remember Materazzi was crying? He was in tears when Mourinho left. He left on a high, yes.
Yeah, but think about all those guys. Those guys are like, you think back to that Chelsea team, John Terry, Carvalho. They had super strong characters. And the boys that he loves are those guys in that mold. Zlatan, you know, he can trust every time he plays. You look at that United team that he had, at times, I don't think he knew who he could rely on, you know, in a big game. And that's why it didn't work. And I think Chelsea, the second time around, the same issues. So I think if he can build a team in his mold, then he's happy. If he doesn't get what he wants, then we all see, then it kicks off.
You look at those, like Owen says, he'd use about 14, 15 players in a whole season. You know, one or two players may come in over the course of a season and play maybe a handful, 5 games, that's it. He would use the same bulk, 8, 9, 10, 11 players every week. And those are the guys who loved him because he knew how to make them feel special. And it's interesting today and this week, in the build-up to it, he's put his finger on Dele Alli and gone, "You're my man, I'm going to make you feel special."
And Ali got an assist today as well, I should point that out, so he was obviously integral to the victory. Any final comments on the Mourinho?
I just think for me, in addition, I think Mourinho's the type of manager, he wants to set it up, sit down and watch his players perform in the way that they've practiced over the week. And I think the problems that he's had in the past is when he's had to get out of his seat, converse, be a social character, understand how players think and get them to perform that way. I don't think that fits Mourinho. And as Owen says, the characters of players, the big characters that can go out there and do the job that they've been asked to do, are the ones that I think that he wants to have in his team. And has he got that in Tottenham? We'll have to see.
All right, well, I have to say goodbye to Owen. You have other duties to perform, but quick prediction for today? Who's going to win, or is it going to be a draw?
High-scoring game, one of the best of the season, but I think City wins.
Okay, let's hope it's not a jinx. Thank you so much for your time. Always appreciate it.